Morning, everybody. It is a beautiful day. As you can see, the sun is shining, covering up my luscious locks up top. Although it is fucking cold outside, minus 30 something with the wind chill. But hey, that is Winnipeg in February. We're gonna pick right up where I last left you off, and this is gonna be the third installment in my story about the canine unit, my time that I was there. I don't know at this point whether or not there's going to be a fourth one. It all depends on how much I'm yakking about this morning and how long I'm talking for. But we'll pick up right where I left off in that there was controversy in that unit before I got there, and it just got worse since I was there for several reasons. The investigation into leadership members or supervisors within the unit was becoming more and more well known. It had actually got out to the media's attention, and our professional standards unit was looking into a lot of aspects of the goings on there. I don't know if it was just one person or two people they were looking into, um, but it involved fraudulent things, I believe, with respect to the sale of canines and with respect to time banks and that sort of thing. So I don't know if it was necessarily all criminal stuff or just rules and regulation stuff, which, sort of each carry their own level of seriousness in terms of what the repercussions might be. Bottom line, I'll say this about two of the supervisors in particular. In their days, they were excellent fucking dog handlers and successful. And the combination of dog and handler together in both cases were quite productive, and they were hardworking. But each one of them were absolute shit fucking managers. They did not know how to treat people, and they came from the school of thought where team players are, you do exactly what I tell you to do without question, what I say, kiss my ass, um, and are part of the fold. And you're going to be in the unit for a long time, and they're going to treat you good. And that was their definition of a team player, which is absolute fucking horseshit. Uh, a team player is a person who often without, this is my humble opinion, what do I know? It's someone who is willing to do all the shit jobs, to take their turn with respect to the responsibilities of the unit, looking after dogs, cleaning up dog shit, cleaning kennels, all that kind of crap, on top of whatever their regular duties are, taking their turn and knowing that's part of it. And I did that. Other people who were quarries for a long time did their fair fucking share, way more so than some of the people who were successful and getting a handler position. And there was just on top of the investigation aspect of it, there was just a complete mistreatment and disgusting fucking tactics with respect to some of the quarries who didn't get spots, and the one female handler who was my friend. She was set up to fucking fail. Anybody who knows anything knows that's a fact. And this isn't someone with whom I felt the need to defend because they were my friend. This was not someone with whom I had any inappropriate relationships. This was one of the hardest working street cops, female or not, that I knew. And there are lots of other people who can attest to that. And when I say set up to fail, so one of the what I mean is, one of the jobs of the handlers is to follow up with field training, like an FTO who is field training a recruit. The canine handlers supervisor's job is to ensure that they follow up with and that their handlers are doing well and developing well. That handler had to chase the one supervisor who to help her in her development. And she wasn't as successful as him, but she wasn't any less successful than some of the other tits that they had in there. Uh, Pun intended, I guess. I said it before I thought of it, which is a lifelong or career long problem of mine. Um, but there was just great reluctance on that supervisor's part to critique her training, to address issues that she felt she had, to address issues that he may have seen. And while my expertise isn't being a tracking dog, I was present for some of those times. And those are instances where a track will be laid and she will, as would any other handler, be deployed. And then the supervisor is observing all this to see how a dog and handler communicate and work, look for errors. And you couldn't have had anybody who was more disinterested in helping somebody else than that fucking asshole. Not paying attention to what she was doing. She and her dog not paying attention. Paying attention to his phone. Both looking at text messages and being on the phone for a bit, when your focus as a trainer the entire time should be watching the dog and handler team follow the track that you laid. And he absolutely didn't fucking do that at all. I know, because I was there and I watched. And you're there to give critique and constructive corrections because you want the person to succeed and do well. And he did not. It was just complete, lazy, useless commentary that, whether or not it was done deliberately or whether or not the emission of positive reinforcement for the handler and dog was there, it wasn't. And if you don't have that, then a person's never going to succeed. And I'm not saying that he should have gone out of his way, skipped steps, cheated, or helped her out in order for her to develop. But he's got to be actively engaged in helping her improve, and he was not. And that's fucking horrible. You should never have to chase your boss to say, hey, what am I doing wrong, or what am I doing right, or how can I do things better? That's exactly what he did. And that's just one of the things that was so fucking wrong with the place. So when you're the person out there giving her all the time and trying your fucking best, even if you're not as successful as other people, if you're not getting the help that you have the right to, or that you've earned by your working ethic and behavior, which she had to the nth degree, well, that just breaks your fucking spirit. That and other bullshit. There was one other handler there who had one fluffy dog that was one of these. The dog was one of these kids that was doing their own thing. Wasn't like all the other dogs. And it isn't just my opinion. You could ask around people in the service and GP back in the days that person was a handler, till the time that he was the sergeant in charge of the unit, not so many years ago. He was less successful than my friend was, and people service-wide had no faith or confidence in him. On top of that, the supervisors in the unit at that time, and lots of other people, constantly fucking made fun of this guy. Just jokes, right? But when you do it enough and it's consistent behavior, there's a negative pattern there and a reason there. So one day this asshole is at a canine briefing with a general patrol shift, which handlers often did. I did them, to talk to the guys and gals who are on the street who are going to be needing canine help, understand the job, understand deployments, understand creating perimeters and blocks while a canine is tracking, and what an assisting officer's job is. So this fucking guy, uh, after my friend made the difficult decision to leave the unit, um, told a whole shift of people, supervisors and constables, that she got exactly what she deserved. How's that for fucking absolute fucking inappropriate behavior? Shooting somebody else down. I guess it took some of the shitty attention away from him in terms of how unsuccessful he was, and made her look like the bad person, giving the impression that it was her fault that she left. Well, it was her choice, but it was what she had to do. She didn't go fucking nuts. And, well, like I said, that asshole later went on to become the supervisor of the unit, which is just a fucking joke to me. Because he was someone who was unsuccessful and that everybody, including the supervisors, made fun of. That's how fucked up that place was, just to give you a taste. I'm not making that up either. Another instance where I can think of where she was mistreated was at a Christmas party. And at unit Christmas parties, specialty unit Christmas parties, you don't often invite the commander of the division. But when you're an ass kisser, that's what you do. You even give them a little present. I guess to secure their loyalty or favor or what have you. And, one of the unit supervisors and the divisional commander were laughing about how the female handler wasn't there. And I was present within earshot. And though they weren't paying attention to me at the time, I don't think, they knew darn well that I was friends with that person. And so they're jokingly said, "Hey, where's your dishwasher?" in reference to the female handler who was no longer there. And the unit supervisor quickly realized that, there were ears around that shouldn't be hearing this. And he just kind of laughed and shrugged it off. But, not standing up for someone who makes a difficult decision and just being a complete sexist fucking cock. But that's the kind of place that it was. It is completely terrible, but it was necessary what she had to do, because her principles were so that she wasn't willing to suffer abuse just to stay in a specialty unit, to have that special patch on your back that separated you from others in terms of what your job was. And that's integrity, to me. And then I'll talk a little about now two of my buddies who were quarries for longer than I was. Between the two of them, they had hundreds of hours of training compensation days where they'd gone out and quarried with the canine unit, laying tracks in all kinds of weather, cleaning up dog shit, picking up dogs, raising dogs, cleaning the cruiser cars, all that fucking stuff. And they'd put in a lot more work, and neither of them were ass kissers, and they had way better reputation and real credibility as street cops in uniform than the person who got selected as a handler for the position they were also competing for. So guys who had on paper were much more suitable candidates, who had done a lot more work to earn it, but then this ass-kissing weasel, because he was the type of person who would never rock the boat and would be the teacher's pet, he was the one who got awarded the dog handler's position. Which I guess sometimes on this job, it isn't a shock that that's the kind of person gets awarded something. But it's still a crying ass fucking shame, because those things should be based on merit. And that person could not compare to two other people. I'm not saying that just because they are my friends. Yes, it's true they are. But I had the occasion to witness the amount of work they had done to earn that spot. One of them had actually been, in fact, told, right or wrong, by the unit supervisor, that they were next in line for a position. If you're not going to do that, don't fucking say it, especially as a boss, because that has the real potential to fuck somebody up in terms of their career and their belief system that things are right, and that if I work hard, or that if someone works hard, they'll get something, and be awarded on the hard work they put into it. But, part of that decision was also who those two people were friends with. Myself, the female handler that left, and so they didn't want their clique to be outweighed or to be evenly matched in terms of support. So they awarded it to somebody else. And I had the occasion to be present for both of the feedback interviews, if you will, of my two friends. And the unit supervisor just fed them absolute horse shit in terms of why they didn't get the job. Because all the reasons that he cited as to why the other person didn't have anything on paper that exceeded what they had done. So he fed them bullshit. And that's just absolutely fucking awful. And it's not right. But again, that's the kind of guy that person was. We're getting pretty close to the 20-minute mark, and I don't want this entire video to be a complete downer. So I think I am going to do a fourth one. But let's close with a couple of really, really cool stories. So one of the places that I worked all the time was at the bus station. It was a place where people would traffic drugs, either on their person and through their luggage, or through the courier bus system, through Greyhound. And it was also a place where not a lot of other cops went. On a couple of occasions, I wish I still had the pictures of the results, but I don't. So one of the deployments that I'm most proud of was when Maya indicated on a bag that had a really, really small amount of heroin in it. And the person who had checked in that bag also had a small amount of heroin on their person. So I arrested them, and after Maya's indication on the bag, I then searched it incident to the guy's arrest. And, I think the heroin was like a few grams. So, that's nothing to write home about in terms of when you talk about the drug seizure world. But what this guy had was multiple electronic devices, flash drives, laptops, a couple of them, written books, like a schedule or diary kind of book, rope, duct tape, medical gloves, T3s, pictures of kids at schoolyards and playgrounds. And one of the most disturbing things that I found was a written out plan in one of his journal books. And his goal was to abduct a young Asian boy from a schoolyard playground. And he essentially had his kidnapping and or rape kit inside that bag. And he was being sought by other agencies further out east. While he got arrested and held in remand and picked up, I think, I want to say the next day, but it was because I was there to take the time to do my job, to watch the people I should be watching for. And I picked up on something I'd never expected. And again, I'm a drug dog handler. I'm hunting guys who deal drugs. Guys and girls, there's no bias on my part. But this led me to something that was foreign to me and unfamiliar, but I knew it was a good scoop, and it gained some real interest at higher levels. And that's just something that you feel good about, because part of our job as cops is, to prevent things from happening. Lord knows whatever happened to that guy. Never went to court on it. I know that he was convicted on some of the charges. Um, but hey, I did my part to save some future victims, and that was one that I still feels good to this day. And another one of the stories from the bus depot is this time I deployed Maya on a bag that was unattended, and she indicated there was some marijuana in there, and the guy whose bag it was came over and admitted that it was his and declared that he had some. Excuse me. And so that's fine. He initially was really, really cooperative and good. But of course, my arrest led to seizing his other bag. And within that bag was a .357 snub-nose revolver concealed within some clothing. And that guy was well known in Toronto. They had at the time a unit much like we have, Guns and Gangs Task Force, and this was someone that they were very familiar with, who had a lengthy criminal record, including violence with firearms, and so that was a successful arrest, and also great intelligence and communication between other agencies, and again, the seizure of drugs was really such a minimal part of it, but because I was out there doing what I was supposed to do at one of the fishing holes that I like to fish in, and had a great working relationship with Greyhound Canada, and they actually had signs and placards all over the bus depot, the courier station, the security line that people have to walk through to check out, telling them that if people want to use their services, they may or may not be subject to search by police, or their items might be, including the use of detector dogs. And it would blow your mind how many people still chose, despite seeing those bold and multiply placed signs, still chose to use Greyhound services. And I had other successful stories in their seizures of all kinds of hard drugs, but those are just really from that area anyway. Were real highlights because I'm, I am out there doing what I'm supposed to do, my job, and I'm having success because I'm paying attention to the places, people, and things that I should do. And I had a lot of great assistance on that call as well from a crew that I knew out of the West District Station, who came down and helped me with the arrest and processing. And there's not a lot better than when you got help coming, and it's guys that you have faith and confidence in, good guys who are happy to just come and help you do good work. And okay, so I will do a 4th episode on K9. Probably won't be as lengthy as this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And once again, I know that there is better divisional commanders and supervisors there now, and it is people that I have I know fairly well, people that I have a lot of respect in, and I am very hopeful that that unit's going to have a positive turnaround. They also got rid of some dead weight and some shitty people, so I truly hope that things are going to be better. And even though I am quite disconnected from that unit and the job now, I still have my finger on the pulse, and I've got friends who keep me informed on things, and I really hope that those good people make the positive, lasting impact, and that place winds up being a fantastic and fun place to work. Take care, guys. See you soon.